about what the Timberwolves were able to do against the Warriors, playing them close and then eventually collapsing in the fourth quarter? You had tweeted actually that the Timberwolves had done something similar to against the Celtics earlier on in the season. Why can't these T-Wolves rack up some wins? What's going on here?
Alexa, very simple. They're a mentally weak basketball team right now, and it's making Tom Thibodeau crazy because he's not used to this. He doesn't coach mentally weak basketball teams. But it's all young guys. It's Rubio and a bunch of young guys who are in the third, second, and rookie year. And no one is really, when push comes to shove in the fourth quarter of games, they're all a little selfish early in games and wanting to get theirs. But in the fourth quarter, when they need somebody to want to take charge of what they need to do and give them some leadership, there is absolutely none. So this is the product of a young team. Here's the other thing that's important. And I love Tom Thibodeau, guys. You know he's one of my favorites professionally, one of my favorites personally. Tom Thibodeau's not the best with having patience with young guys. And this is a job that requires a mountain of patience. And what's a very interesting layer in all this is Thibodeau's not only the coach, he's the president of basketball operations. And you just want to, you wonder, is Tom going to lose patience enough to make a knee-jerk move with one of these young guys that maybe he regrets later? Now, I think Tom is smart and measured, and he's got Scott Layden in that front office to help him see the forest from the trees. But there's no doubt this is not a situation that Thibodeau's comfortable with at all. And by the way, guys, just as an aside here, last year, my man Sam Mitchell had a whole lot of criticism heaped upon him for how poorly he was running the Timberwolves. Well, you know what? Sam didn't do such a terrible job because this is a young team that's got a lot to learn. Tom Thibodeau is one of the best in the business. He's struggling with this group. Listen, the Timberwolves are going to get better as the second half of the season goes on. They will develop a mental toughness. Tom will work with guys individually. He'll work with them as a group. They will mature. But right now, they're just not ready to compete with good teams in these kind of big spots in the fourth quarter of games. And until they do, we're going to see a pretty miserable team.
So why doesn't Thibodeau, the president, provide more for Thibodeau, the coach, in terms of getting some veterans on the roster? Not necessarily swinging major deals to get guys and, of course, losing some of that talent, but just some veterans out there or who might be available just to get some guys in there with an older voice inside that locker room.
2 points there, Michael. Number one, he doesn't want to sacrifice anything important for the future. He wants to get an idea how these guys do over a long season. So he doesn't want to necessarily sacrifice a Levine, a Dunn, even a Muhammad, who he likes a lot. So he wants to see what he has. Here's the second thing. To his credit, he tried. I mean, he wanted Luol Deng. He just didn't want to go to $72 million for 4 years for him. He wanted that type of guy. And in the end, he had to settle for Cole Aldrich and Brandon Rush. And although Rush is trying, he doesn't play enough to have that kind of influence on this group. So that's the other big problem with this. Tom made the effort to go get a vet. Tom understands that in certain spots, some of these guys became price prohibitive. Listen, I'm not a fan of Joakim Noah or his contract. Tom kicked the tires on him a little bit on a cheapish type of deal, but the Knicks blew that out of the water. He wanted to get a guy that could be that veteran presence. He just understood from a cap standpoint he needed to keep his future flexibility, because keep one thing in mind, the time's going to come soon where he's got to extend Wiggins. Not long after that, he's going to have to extend Towns. Levine's the one guy you could see at one point possibly go for a significant vet to give him help. So that's something to keep an eye on.